more than 40 years, People Incorporated has been an integral part of the greater Fall River community. Creative, collaborative, and invested in the region, we have consistently developed supports to make our community a better place to live. Dedicated to a better future for all our citizens, we are People on the Move. Hi, I'm Bob Canuel, President and CEO of People Incorporated, welcoming you to another episode of People on the Move. Many of you may not know this, but a nonprofit organization, in order to be truly successful, must have an excellent relationship between its senior management team and the board of directors. All nonprofit agencies have elected board members who are responsible for overseeing the activities of their organization. Today's show, we will be bringing in our chairman of the board and our first chair to talk about those issues, and for the local listening audience to get an idea of what it was that attracted them to People Incorporated and what they feel as though board membership not only gives to them, but how it enables them to give back to the community. Welcome. We're here today with two board members from People Incorporated, Rick Gorvin, who is the chairperson of the board, and Jeff Marks, who is the first vice chair. Welcome, gentlemen.
Hello, Bob.
Thank you for having us.
My pleasure. Today we're going to talk a little bit about what board membership means, not only for you guys as individuals, but we'd also like to be able to give the community a little bit of information about what the roles and responsibilities are of a board and why a board of directors is so important to the success of a nonprofit organization. Rick, if you could get us started, what was it that made you want to become a board member?
Well, Bob, there's a myriad of reasons why someone is either invited or someone seeks out membership within a board. For me personally, it was having grown up in the Fall River community, having been in a housing project where myself and my family had benefited from being served by social service agencies or by individuals within the community who acted as coaches and referees and the like within our community that helped it make a better place. A second influence for me would have been my Catholic upbringing, my Jesuit education, where community service and outreach was really very much valued in that area. So for me personally, it was an opportunity to give back to the community, for which I had received so many benefits, and especially able to come back to the Fall River community and give back was very pleasing for me and my family.
Yeah. And Jeff, you've been a member of the Fall River community, Fall River area community, all of your life.
Yes.
What's some of your background?
Well, I always felt and I've always believed in giving back to the community. And like Rick has said, I've had to do a lot on my own and build a business up in the area, and building my business up has met a lot of nice people that are involved in this community that I've always felt to give back my time and financially to the community. And People Incorporated is very good organization that I really believe in, that I've seen a lot of changes over the years since you've come on board, Bob, that I've enjoyed being part of it. And it's nice to see it happen, and I believe that we should be giving back, and that's always my feeling.
Now, you grew up in the area?
Yes, I did.
You went to school in the area,
I went to school at Diamond Voc.
At Diamond. And Rick, you went to school?
Bishop Conley.
Bishop Conley. So both of you were Fall River graduates, high school. What do you see as the most important responsibility that a board member has?
For me, it was it's stewardship. It's stewardship of the resources that People Incorporated has. So that would include their people, their financial assets, which would include their real estate.
And you have a particular expertise and background in that area?
Yes, for me I did a lot of real estate, legal work, and financings. So as you and your team pulled together the initial strategic plan, a large part of that, or at least a piece of that, was better utilization of the assets, the real estate that was involved.
Yeah. And I know, speaking personally, you've been an enormous asset to that, because in the nonprofit community, not that many of us were experts in the idea of financing for commercial real estate and a lot of the sort of nuances of purchasing buildings. You know, as you guys know, we've been involved over the last year in purchasing the Citizens Union Bank building at 4 South Main Street, and that's a rather complicated real estate purchase. Where your help especially and the help of the other board members has been extremely helpful to us as an executive management team in trying to put that particular real estate deal together. Jeff, our logo that we use says that we're the path to opportunity at People Incorporated. Does that mean anything in particular to you in terms of the services and supports we provide?
It's amazing that you don't realize, unless you're on the board or really get involved with the organization, of how many different people we help. And I think it's a path that is unbelievable, that we can help so many people and they just don't realize it. And I think it's so strong that people need to be involved. And it's nice when we go to the wine tasting and you bring out stuff that we do. I mean, people don't even know us from Camp Jack. And I mean, it's amazing. Just this past couple of weeks, I was away with a family that went to Camp Jack. And they had 2 boys that went. One boy had diabetes, and they talked so highly of the organization. It was nice being a board member hearing that. I think I was so impressed that they were so impressed with our organization that it made me feel good. And it makes me feel good to be on this board and being able to help people like that.
And if I can add, Bob,
Yeah.
I mean, I think the path to opportunity, it primarily speaks to, a greater opportunity for a full life for our consumers. And what you find, as Jeff has found and I found, when you're actually part of the board and involved in the day-to-day experiences and hear of them, is that you learn that there's a secondary opportunity there that speaks to what our employees go through. There are educational opportunities. There are relationships, professional and personal, that they're exposed to, involved with, that absent People Incorporated, they would not have.
That's a great point. I think, fortunately for me, as the manager of the organization, the relationship I've been able to have with you folks in particular, as well as the entire board, has been great in that as a board of directors, we come to you very often with requests for employee benefits or to fund programs with startup costs. And in all of those cases, you guys have been more than willing all the time to be able to allow us the opportunity to manage and to try new things, which is critical, I think, to the success of any organization. Jeff, you've been involved in a number of other organizations in the Fall River community. I know you and I currently serve on the board of the Fall River Chamber. What do you see, if anything, that may be different in terms of board membership at People Incorporated?
I see the board members getting involved. Like I said, I'm involved in quite a few boards that they're not involved. I feel very strongly on this board because board participation is very high. You don't see that at many boards, and I think that's kudos to you because I don't see that at other places. I feel that looking for the future, that People Incorporated is on the right move, that we're doing a lot of right things that other people aren't doing. So I think that being on the board is very important, and I think that participating is very important. And you know and I know the participation on other boards aren't as well as we get with this board. So I think it's very
we have had a phenomenal level of participation. Currently, People Incorporated has 14 board members, and it's typical at a board meeting to have at least 11, 12, 13 of the board members present.
Correct.
Rick, could you talk a little bit about the organizational structure of the board?
Well, the board, primarily, there's a president of the board, which is my position. There's a second chair, which is Jeff's position. And then it's made up of 12 other individuals, mainly leaders from all across the South Coast, leaders in their own industries who are willing to put forth their time and effort to, they believe in our mission statement. They believe in the culture that you've been able to build within People Incorporated. So it makes it very easy to build consensus within such a group.
You mentioned the time, and I think, very often for all of us, we are asked to join boards, and that's the ultimate question. Can I give the time that I need to be able to give to have some kind of an impact? Could either of you speak a little bit about, the time constraints? Because I know there are probably people out there today who are thinking about their own personal interest in joining a board somewhere. What is the time commitment, and do you feel as though the time commitment is manageable, and is it a worthwhile endeavor for you?
I'll speak to it first and then turn back to Jeff. But for me, it's very rewarding. And although as chair, I'm a little more involved, and we often have the need to review and discuss things on a daily and weekly basis, our board meetings are really limited to 2-3 hours. We have a great free exchange of ideas that's happening, a collaborative spirit. We are lucky that oftentimes we will have the executive committee come to meet with us, executive management team rather, come to meet with us and explain some of the day-to-day experiences that are out there that our teams are having and their successes. So the mission statement isn't just a series of words to us. We really get the opportunity to see it and hear of the success, and it gives us a great opportunity to go into the community at that point and become more of a public relations as we're trying to market and make people aware of what we do.
I mean, there's few places you can be with this at this point in time, is that when you're on the board, you can go to the board meeting and just be involved in that level. But you also can get involved in a lot of other levels that we do, a lot of open houses, we do a lot of the wine tasting, we do the golf tournament. So there's levels of participation that you can all place on this, and I think it's important to know that it's depending on how much time you want to put in. I like to, and I enjoy the organization. I do put a lot of time in. I know, Rick, you put a lot more time than I do. Like you said, you meet with Bob quite often on separate meetings that you guys have to have. But I enjoy getting together and going over the organization.
I think that's a good point too, Jeff. I know on boards that I've personally served on, or boards that I have worked under, sometimes there's an expectation that every board member has to put forth a certain type of effort. And I've always found that, the way that we do it, where we let every board member give of their own ability and of their own time, it seems to work really well in maintaining camaraderie and maintaining a sense that as a board member, whatever I give is valued.
Yep.
I've probably in my career served under, I think, 4 or 5 boards of directors like you and you. I've been on other boards of directors as well. And one of the things I've said often is that in the relationship that we've carved out at People Incorporated between the board of directors and the executive management team, it's a phenomenally strong relationship, and I think at the core of it is really the issue of trust, because I think this board of directors has been extremely courageous in serving as a steward, as you mentioned, Rick, instead of a manager. That's a very difficult issue sometimes, where board members may feel like they want to or should manage the organization, and in essence sometimes take away that responsibility from the professionals that are entrusted to do so. So if you could speak a little bit, Rick, to that issue and
Well, I think when I hear you ask such a question, I can't help but think about my predecessors and the other various leaders who I've met through the board and through my experiences. There does come in certain boards where people are making too large of an effort to add value, as in almost a bull in a china store. You really do have to step back, believe in the mission statement, let the professionals, the executive management team, do what they do best, and see if the success will be bred from that or not. Through Gary Howiak, Dave Bedard before me, there was a culture that you built and that they were collaborative with, where it really was a collaborative effort with the board of directors. It wasn't an ego ride of making sure that you recognize that I'm the president of the board and you shall bend your knee to me type of thing. And there are, and Jeff can speak to that too, there are a number of agencies where that is the structure. Here it's far more collaborative. It is far more looking to see how every individual on that board can add value. They have expertise. There are ideas, and there's a free exchange that happens, such that when we do gather together on a routine basis, which might only be quarterly, it really is an opportunity to see friends. It is an opportunity to then focus on what is happening within the agency, what are their latest successes, and how can we stay out of the way and make sure it's working.
Yeah. That's a good point. Jeff, did you want to add
Yeah, I was going to
anything
say
that?
the same thing that Rick was saying. I mean, you're the president of the organization. You run the ship, and we support what you do. And I mean, you haven't led us down any wrong way at this point in time, so we feel very confident the way the ship is going. So I've felt that way when you come up with your leadership team. They're doing a fantastic job. We feel very confident they all work together, which we've brought up at board meetings, how they work so well together. They all communicate well together. They're a team, and that's so important. And I think that we're the team behind you, supporting what you do. You give us monthly updates, what's happening. If something comes up really quick, you send us an email, FYI, and we get them and we read them. We usually send back something saying, yep, good job, or what's happening, or correspond that way. So there's always correspondence back and forth. And I think what Rick is saying, like, we really go forward with what you're doing. I think it's very
And it's
positive.
very transparent.
Yeah.
Yes,
It's
exactly.
very transparent. There are a lot of open lines of communication. There are plenty of opportunities for board members to voice their opinions, voice their concerns when they have them, and build consensus and come to a resolution. For the most part, we're not really involved in that.
Yep.
It's really about attempting to add value as the senior executive and management team sees it needed.
You know, you mentioned earlier, I'm going back to it again, the idea of stewardship. And I think it's very often believed, and I agree, that the most important role that a board member has is its fiduciary responsibility to make sure that the public funds, which are what most nonprofits subsist on, are being used for the intended purpose, that they're being used in a cost-effective way. How do you guys, as board members, help ensure that the financial resources that People Incorporated has are being used adequately and properly?
I think that if anybody knows Dennis Reed, he's on the Finance Committee, and he's in charge of the Finance Committee. And he's very good at reporting everything that goes on, and he goes into details of what we're doing and how we're making out. And I think the financial stability of the organization is fantastic. I've never seen a balance sheet as well as it's going right now, and I think that that's all to do with the leadership team that you have going with you.
And it speaks to, I think, other individuals who are on that committee. Jim Wallace.
Yep.
Yeah.
We've got a great expanse of ideas. We have people with the financial tools and skills to really help us through any difficult waters that we might see, using your ship analogy. And it really does help, I think, gain confidence of new members quickly, because I think you can't help but when you're being invited to a new board, you're thinking, okay, especially for me being in a legal background, that, okay, what are their problems and where can I add value? When you come to be a part of our board, it's really more of an effort at saying, in recognition of what you've done in your community or industry, but also of we want to utilize our board members more as marketing, more of an opportunity for to gain in the community more awareness of all the services that we do. We've gone well beyond helping out individuals with mental challenges and physical challenges. We're now Young Parents Learning Center, 25th anniversary. We are the FACE division. We are residential services. We are Camp Jack. There are so many things that I don't think our community knows on a day-to-day basis where all of our successes are.
Yeah, that's a good point. You know, speaking to that, I mean, we have grown steadily. Over the last 3 years, we've grown dramatically. Now it's become a large nonprofit organization. We have more than, just recently, we went over 500 employees. And we have, this year, we'll be providing about $18 million in supports and services to people in the Fall River, Taunton, and New Bedford communities. How do you see that growth in terms of your view of it from the Board of Directors?
Well, it's so hard to say, Bob. The way that it's been growing here, it's unbelievable. So I see potential, a lot of growth there. I see that the challenges that we have taken on and what we've done in this economic times, that economic times getting better, I think that we're going to see a lot more growth from it. There's so much more we offer, like Rick was just saying, that for all these different individuals that we're doing, that we have so much more opportunity that I think be a lot more growth coming.
Yes, and with your team, we've and our stewardship, we've built such a strong financial foundation. We have proven to our funding sources how we efficiently maximize the minimum resources that they give us, that I think they can see, and I think we can actually see, a willingness on their part to take a risk with us and take a risk. And when they have risky opportunities, that we're in a better position to take that on. We took on recently, worked with the Smiles mentoring program.
That's a great example.
Yes, very good.
That now through our wonderful team of grant writers, through the efficiencies that your team has built on the administrative side, the accounting side, the legal side, the HR side, all those things work together so that we can utilize those resources, those financial resources, in the best manner. So that helps us and puts us in a position so that we can take over a new program that might not be part of our core program, but yet is part of our mission statement in moving forward.
And I think sometimes the community isn't fully aware of the sort of intricacies of financial management in a nonprofit organization. But the growth, and in the last 9 years, we've added 250 jobs to the greater Fall River community. And a lot of those contracts and grants that we've acquired over that time could have conceivably gone to organizations that have no ties to the Fall River community. And by being competitive and by going after new program services, not only have we been able to be a part of building a better community, but we've also been able to create solid job opportunities and help with the economic development of the area. How do you see, we recently have expanded into the Taunton community as well as the Fall River community, the New Bedford community. How do you see that as an overall opportunity to increase the services and the influence of People Incorporated?
Well, I think that our industry and what we're looking at right now is that we run a good ship. And I think if we're going out for contracts or bids, I think we have a really good shot of expanding in Taunton, which we're already starting to see, I believe, with that. And I really do see big growth in the Taunton area. So I think that we have a lot of opportunity in Taunton and New Bedford also, because they look at the balance sheets and they look at that we're a very tight-run ship and we run a good books. We run everything good.
I mean, and those are areas that, for our consumers, more so that they're typically underserved. And I think, I know that People Incorporated is in the best position to really create paths to opportunities for all those individuals. And there's no reason why we need to stop with the South Coast. I think as we continue down the line and in future 5-year strategic plans, I would hope that we're looking to expand into Rhode Island. So I think there's where some people might be limited by their financial resources. We've built confidence with our funding sources that right now we're primarily in Massachusetts. There's no reason why we can't build that same confidence in Rhode Island.
You mentioned the strategic plan a couple of times, and I've been in nonprofit management for over 30 years. And it's always been somewhat surprising to me the number of organizations that really do not engage in strategic development of business plans in order to push the mission of the organization. Not only have we done that and done that successfully, but you guys have been an integral part and the ultimate approval source of the strategic plan. How do you see that in the future in terms of it being a tool that helps us be successful? And then are there other management tools that you'd like to see us employ?
Well, I mean, I think the strategic plan does a number of things. And I think you're coming to People Incorporated. you've brought this approach of there's no reason why a typical for-profit business model cannot work in a nonprofit environment. They're in a typical business for-profit environment. You're building teams, you're building consensus, you're building the proper foundation financially to go off and do a little bit of risky adventures. And you're moving resources that are proven revenue streams and being able to efficiently move those into new areas so that in 2-3 years' time, you can then look for the next expansion. I think the strategic plan also, as part of a business model and for-profit model, has created an accountability aspect to it and motivational tool whereby the executive management team knows that year to year, this is what Jeff and I and our team of board of directors are looking for the growth. It tells you and your members and your employees what measurement tools we're looking for. So in that respect, it's almost blends itself into HR, into motivation, and beyond.
Yeah. I can't believe the 30 minutes is already up, guys. It's been a pleasure chatting with you today. I'd like to thank all of you for tuning in to the show and hope you'll continue to tune into future episodes of People on the Move. Thank you very much.